Welcome to TSP Weekly. This is your tech startup podcast for Thursday, December 4th, 2014. Today we are recording at the Velocity Foundry. It's the first time that we've been here. Pretty exciting. Lots of hardware-ish type startups in this space.
No one has written on the painted walls in this room yet.
No, unlike at the Velocity Garage, I think they've filled up the non-whiteboard walls by accident. But no, it's cool to be in the space. Yeah, there's no funky graffiti in this room either.
No, it's very business-like.
Yeah, which I guess is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, blue wall behind us.
Yeah, I like it.
Excellent. Now that we've covered the room description, let's introduce ourselves here. My name is Darren Conley. I'm a local tech entrepreneur here in Kitchener-Waterloo. With me, as always, is my co-host, fellow tech entrepreneur, Stephen Campbell. How are you doing today, Stephen?
I'm feeling pressured today.
Yeah?
As we alluded to earlier, I think I used my best joke before we started recording.
I hope that wasn't your best joke.
That might be my only joke.
Feeling like a diamond because you're under pressure?
Yeah. Am I shining? Because I feel like I'm under a lot of pressure right now. We have exams coming up,
right?
Both for myself and our guests today.
Right.
So really cramming. Saturday night at midnight in the school, Friday night at midnight at the school.
Wow.
That kind of stuff. So
I hear that's the best way to retain knowledge is to stay up really, really late and deprive yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Inject caffeine into various orifices.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah,
well, on that note, let's introduce our guests here. We have two guests with us here today. Rachel. Now I'm afraid I'm going to mess up the last name after we talked about it beforehand.
Pautler.
Rachel Pautler.
Yeah.
And Andrew Martinko.
Martinko.
Martinko. See, I knew I was going to mess up one of them. Martinko. I knew a guy whose last name was Martinko. That's why I messed it up. Anyway, they are two of the co-founders of Suncayr. A few other people on the team, but we could only fit two of you in today with our limited equipment, but that's all right. How are you guys doing today? Good?
Good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah? Excellent. Thanks for clearing your schedule to talk with us today. I know you guys are busy with meetings and building a product and stuff. Maybe before we talk about some of the articles, maybe you can just give us like the quick 1 or 2 minute I don't know, not pitch or a summary of what you guys are making, just so we know what we're going to talk about later. Yeah.
Sure. So Suncayr is making a color-changing marker to tell you when to reapply sunscreen. So it's like a Sharpie marker that you draw on your skin. So kids love drawing on their skin, so we feel like that's good. Mm-hmm. And then you put sunscreen over top of whatever picture, word, whatever you drew. Mm-hmm. When your sunscreen wears off, this picture changes color, telling you when to reapply sunscreen.
Oh, that's really cool.
And is it invisible before the reapply time?
Yeah, so our first prototype was invisible to purple. We're working on a few other color options right now in case you want to make sure that your kid actually drew it on.
Sure.
Yeah.
So just saying, yes, mom, yes, mom.
Well, and I'm just thinking, too, about, like, having your nasty friend walk up and, write a bad word on your back that you don't know about until it's time for your sunscreen to expire.
Like farts.
Sure, like that. Well, that's cool. And we'll talk in a little more detail about that a little bit later in the podcast. We want to talk a little bit of tech news first and get your perspective on some of these things. So first article we wanted to talk about is a new app called Quikkly. It's called Quikkly.
Yeah.
Spelled with 2 Ks.
You dragged the K out.
That's right. Oh, dear. Quikkly essentially is an improved version of the QR code. I think all of us have used QR codes before, right?
Yeah.
Like
We've got
UBC
one on our
code,
business cards. So
oh, yeah. See, there you go.
survey or something. Yeah.
There you go. So Quikkly, if you look in the article itself, it looks kind of like a QR code with a little bit more graphics going on. You can have your LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter logo as part of the scannable graphic. But the big kind of added value for Quikkly over a existing QR codes situation is that you can use them as shortcuts for actions on your phone. So if you want to send a tweet or add a contact or connect to a Wi-Fi signal in the building that you're in, you can have a Quikkly tag for that specific action and scan it, and your phone does that. I think typically with QR codes, you're basically just looking at a link. Usually it's just a link that it connects you to.
Right.
Yeah.
Although it could be, I guess, any kind of text, but usually just used for links. So Quikkly is trying to kind of take what they see as a failed model with QR codes and expand the functionality. make it a little bit more useful for people. The downside is you have to have Quikkly's app, or you have to install an app that makes use of Quikkly's services in order to be able to make use of it. But on the upside, they are offering a little bit more value than you would get with a typical QR code situation. So my first question is, well, I'll ask Andrew. You say you have a QR code on your business card. Do you as well, Rachel?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys decided to put QR codes on your business cards. Do many people use the QR code, or have you talked to people to know if they appreciate that added feature on there?
That's a really good question. So we haven't actually.
Oh, it's
asked
early.
people.
He's got a whole bunch.
We made them a long time ago.
Okay.
So
Sure.
yeah, we made the cards a long time ago. We bought way too much, so now we haven't been able to update them until we go through them.
Right.
But it's a QR code that links to a survey, like a customer discovery survey.
Like a
But
survey
we don't.
monkey?
Yeah, exactly. So we don't actually say anywhere what the QR code links to. So I kind of like the whole Quikkly idea where you could actually write what it that you're
goes to.
taking it to you to.
And actually kind of look at it, say, hey, this would actually be pretty useful for our
For your
cards
card?
like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
As far as, a lot of people have done our survey.
Yeah,
I don't think many. I would think not a lot of those people would have come from the business card.
from the card.
Probably
Okay.
more than would have come
Probably more
from
than-
links on Facebook, social media, etc.
Sure.
Or just going to our website.
Is that the
Sure.
only spot you're using a QR code in your product? Or in
Yeah,
your
that's the only
I
spot we
social
have.
media or
It was
anything?
kind of just something we threw it on at the end. Say,
Yep.
might as well.
Why not?
Sure.
Yeah, no downside to it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yep.
Stephen, do you make use of QR codes very often? Do you find yourself?
It's kind of
pulling out your
interesting.
phone?
It's a new technology for me. We at Conestoga College, one of the projects was improving the parking.
Right.
So they were using QR code scanning at that point to sort of scan and see who was parked there. They were focusing
Okay.
on the guest experience, not the student.
So what were people doing? You'd pull into a parking spot and
Yeah,
scan
you
a
would.
QR code?
So if a professor or somebody had invited you to be a speaker or to attend an event, the last thing they want is for you to have to come in and sort of fumble around for a couple loonies in your pocket,
Right.
or not have anything and have to figure out the parking. So they would invite you to park, and they would email you a slip that you could put in your window,
Right.
and then the enforcer would
Right.
scan that and would have a whole bunch of information. So not only would he say, okay, this is a person that's been invited by the Dean of Entrepreneurship, but they were supposed to be here from 1 till 3. It's now 4:30. They're still here. I'm going to go ahead and not ticket them, even though they're,
Yeah.
because you have that information that the human can make the decision on,
Sure.
what's going on, as opposed to just black or white, right?
Okay.
So they're using the QR code there. So interesting. I really love the idea of the visual aspect or the creative aspect to this, because as just a human, when I look at a QR code, all I know is, oh, that's the thing I scan
Right.
to see something, right? But if
Right.
I have just a little more visual cueing, then I can say, oh, that would get me, like you guys said, some more information
To
about
this
Suncayr,
place or- Sure.
something more specific. So I really like that the humans are helped
Right.
on the visual side, as opposed to just the QR code and what it technically does.
Sure. Yeah, I've heard this complaint. Like QR codes have been around for a long time,
Yeah.
but generally speaking, like the mainstream public doesn't really use them too often. Even kind
Or
of
get
the,
'em.
Yeah, even kind of the techie crowd, I think for the most part is like, there's another QR code plastered on something, and we don't. I see them all over the place. I know how to use them. I could very easily pull up my phone, load up my app, and scan
Yep.
it. But
you're just not that excited about
well,
it.
a lot of times I'm like, okay, it's going to take me to the website for this thing. I can just go to
Just
the
go
website.
to the website. Yeah.
It seems like I downloaded a couple of apps for my previous generation iPhone.
Right.
So I haven't even got anything on this one that does QR code scanning.
Right.
But that would seem like something that would just come out with the next iOS 9, right?
Sure.
They just sort of implement that with the operating system, as opposed to having to get an app for it.
Sure. So they can still keep up, 3 years behind Android development.
Right. Wow.
That's my own little dig at Apple. But anyway, I had always thought, wouldn't it be cool if you had some sort of, either it was a QR code or an NFC tag or something, where, say today I've walked into the Velocity Foundry for the first time.
Yep.
If I wanted to send a tweet about being here at the Foundry, it'd be nice to be able to just tap something or scan something quick, and it composes the tweet with the right, hashtag or tagging the Velocity Foundry's Twitter handle, and then I can just add my message to it.
That's a neat idea. If you could put like something up there that said this is the tweet post and get as many people as possible to sort of tweet from that, then you could say we've had 500,000 people tweet from this spot. Yeah.
Or like I said, to
10%.
connect to a Wi-Fi signal, like I come in with my mobile phone, I want to connect to the Wi-Fi for the building. Instead of having to fumble, like is it posted on the wall somewhere? Is there a password or whatever? I can scan the thing. It inputs all the data.
That's a cool idea. Right? That's a cool idea.
And this is what Quikkly is offering this potential.
Really, that is a good idea. I think we need to work on the sound effect though a little bit.
Yeah,
the wasn't really. We got to get it zippier, a little fresher.
Maybe they do have a good sound effect. I've got to work on my own sound effect repertoire here. Okay, so can we all agree this sounds like it would be worth trying out? Maybe something like Quikkly.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
We'll say that now, but are any of us going to go and download the app and try it? Is the question.
That Wi-Fi thing was a great point, and I do think that. I mean, the first question you ask when you go to a new place, the first question you ask, what's the Wi-Fi password?
Yeah, right.
So that's a good
true.
point. That's a good point.
Well, hopefully, I guess their big issue right now is just to kind of get mass adoption of this, right? So get people recognizing what those tags look like, get people actually using them and creating them. So they have a way that the average person can just go and create them and print them off and stick them places. So through their app,
which is a whole another problem, right? Like they've come up with a really cool idea and a neat use for them visually, but then to have to go back and make Betamax. Cool again is a big problem, right? Like Betamax is just an old technology, right? So I wonder if they missed the.
I think it was funny that you felt you had to explain to the younger folks here about Betamax. No, it's awesome.
We're probably one of the last generations
that would get it. Yeah, yeah, it's true. Getting the mass adoption, but if we can get people on board, or if they can get people on board, or if we can through the podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I think we've done it. Yeah,
all the better. Perfect. All right, well, let's move on to our next article here, guys. There is a company called Audience Entertainment, a new startup that is trying to give audiences, primarily in movie theaters, something to do when they're sitting around staring at the screen waiting for the movie to start. I think right now in a lot of theaters we see things like advertisements, or sometimes they have kind of, short talk interview segments with movie stars and stuff,
cartoons
about
or
upcoming
interviews
movies
or trivia. I've seen some trivia stuff come up.
Yeah, there's that too. So the idea behind this is you would get the audience participating together in games, some kind of game or a variety of games perhaps, that they can stay entertained before the movie starts or before whatever. I guess in theory it could be a concert or other events as well. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at the demo video they had here, but they showed some people at a concert kind of hitting virtual beach balls or bubbles or something in the crowd through the screen and stuff, which I thought was kind of neat. The one thing I'll throw in before we talk about this a little bit, there's a psychological phenomenon that if you can get a crowd all doing the same activity, then it actually creates like emotional bonds among the members of the crowd. This is one of the reasons they argue why people sing the national anthem before sporting events, because it gets the crowd feeling that sense of solidarity, and they're all going to cheer together, right, for the team. So I wonder if this could have an effect like that, where you could kind of get the crowd all kind of united together, ready to have this experience and a little bit more pumped up about what's happening. But anyway, what do you guys think? Is this something you could see yourself wanting to participate in a theater waiting for a movie to start? I don't know.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So from the initial article, I did not get that it was before the movie, which makes a lot more sense.
Okay. You thought it was during?
I don't understand, but now I do, so that does make a lot more sense.
Okay,
So my comment on that is that right now they have this Cineplex time play. I don't know if you guys know of that.
No, I don't.
But basically, I just found out about it, or I've known of it. I just downloaded it actually in the last movie I saw.
Okay.
So scene points, right? So you go to the Cineplex theater.
Yeah.
You log into the time play app. And you can actually win scene points by playing in these games.
Okay.
So it does have that audience engagement. So from that point of view, the only reason I can say 100% that I downloaded this was to get scene points, right?
Do you get free popcorn with that kind of thing?
It's free movies.
Oh, free movies, okay.
When you have a scene card, you get a discount on the concessions.
Right.
And then every, 1,000 scene points gives you a free movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And every time you see a movie, you get a couple hundred scene points. And then every time you play this game, I guess you have a chance to win scene points.
So But what are you doing when you're playing is it a game? It's a game on your mobile phone?
Trivia. So I think the ones I played, there was a trivia game. There was this like
matching
hockey. Yeah, matching game. It's like, how do these actors connect together through their movies, directors, whatever.
Okay.
There's a hockey puck game you shoot. I did bad at that one. I didn't know what was going on at all. But
Okay.
anyway, so from my point of view, this would be useful, but I would only play it if there was a reward, I guess, right? I mean, I'll take the free scene points, but when I go to the movie theater, I'll sit and talk to my friends.
Right.
Sure.
Not really looking for that audience engagement, I guess. So.
But typically, the games, once again, that you're playing to win the scene points are just games that you're engaging as an individual. You're not competing against other people in the theater, right?
Okay, you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I just want to be sure. I don't know if that's the case.
No, yeah. So it's definitely a trivia. You do so I mean, you're competing against your friends. I guess it's like, I beat you, but
Sure.
that's
what'd you get at the hockey thing? You only got 4 goals. I got 10.
Exactly.
Okay. Right. So this is something I like about something like this is that it kind of engages the group.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Okay.
together.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know. Rachel, what do you think? Could you see yourself using something like this?
I could see it being great for a concert. I don't think a movie you really care about bonding with the crowd so much. I think a
Right.
concert though, like that really creates the vibe that you want for the
Sure.
concert. But yeah, no, I was kind of under the impression that Andrew that was kind of during the movie, and I'm like, I don't want this kind of movie.
we were pretty confused reading the article
Yeah.
at first. We were talking about. Did we watch the movie or the video?
The
Didn't
video?
really understand it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now we get it. Makes a lot
Now
more
we
sense.
get it, and it makes
Yeah.
A lot
sense.
more
But,
sense.
But that's good feedback for them to know that their promotional materials aren't
Yeah.
quite
Mark.
conveying the idea. But
Yeah.
sorry, you were going to say?
no, I just think at a movie, I'm just gonna sit and talk to my friends. I'm not gonna like move around with the crowd, right? Like, but I would
Right.
definitely at a concert, I would definitely be interested. I think it would be great for that.
Sure. I wonder if even you could use something like this at like a conference if you're waiting for a session to start. Like, there's been plenty of times I've been over at Communitech at waiting for something to start. You don't really know a lot of people in the room.
It could be a good icebreaker kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Or at
somebody
least
to kind
something
of
to
get the crowd, involved somehow in
And
what's
I mean,
going on.
another thing I'll say is that the interviews, whatever, before the movies,
Yeah.
super cheesy. Don't like watching them.
No one likes those.
That's true. What's even more frustrating is if they show something like clips from the movie you're about to see, and you're like, I don't want to see this stuff now, right? Like I'm
wanna
about to
watch
see
the
it in like
movie.
5 minutes. Like
Yeah.
don't give away whatever.
It's an
So,
interesting
yeah.
time. Like for me, I have a couple swirling emotions about this because my first reaction was, do we really need to shove something into that 4, 5, or 10 minutes? It's like my son who, please get off the computer and come down to dinner. Well, between leaving his room and getting off the computer, he's on the iPad to go down the stairs. I'm like, do you really need to fill that 30 seconds with another game? So
Right.
at first I was like, like, do we really need to disengage? But then you talked about the psychology of the crowd, right?
Yeah.
And before something starts, kind of depending on what it is, if it's just the 9th X-Men movie or if it's like a theater show. I went to see The Drowsy Chaperone here locally at the theater, which was awesome. Then there is like that ether of excitement. It's there isn't any part of your day that is like just before the thing starts, right?
Yeah.
So you're really excited about it. So I don't know if I want to ruin that by a game. But then when you talk about engaging the crowd and being together, they did something similar to that in the theater, where
Right.
they turned all the lights off
Yeah.
and let us sit for an uncomfortable amount of time, which was probably 20 seconds or something, right? Not long.
Sure.
And then they just started to talk to us, one of the actors. And it was really weird, but very uncomfortable at the beginning. And then you really relaxed as he sort of brought you through what we were going to experience together. So
Sure.
I think they've got something that's really magical because they're playing with that magical time of excitement and anticipation. So I think if they do something well, they could really knock it out of the park because
Sure.
it's a really cool time in people's day, right?
So the seed of something amazing is there. It's just the execution
They
of
have
it
to
has
really-
to
yeah.
nail. I would think, especially for the nature of the event is going to dictate the nature of the content
Yeah.
that they would be using, right? So in the demo here, they showed people kind of as a group navigating through this, eerie kind of Gotham City kind of landscape or whatever, and exploring some buildings and stuff, which might not be appropriate for before you watch a musical, but maybe before you watch a scary movie or something, something like that could work.
Yeah,
right?
so they'd have to do some
yeah.
sort of wine and food pairings, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So to
Make sure
speak.
it was palatable to the audience.
Sure. Well, I think something like this, I would love to just try it out. I think just for pure experimentation purposes, I think it would be cool
Yeah.
to try it out. The only thing I would worry about is if if it was something that looked kind of lame and the rest of the crowd was into it, then you could have the reverse effect from Solidarity. You could feel like I'm excluded now from all the people in this room, and I feel like a loser because I'm not into this whatever, throwing the virtual beach ball around like everybody else is. But maybe that's my own insecurities I got to work on. If that's the problem, I don't know.
And you can practice virtual beach balling at home, so you don't get embarrassed by it.
Next time you're good.
So it's not so intimidating. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Well, speaking of concerts and stuff, let's move into the last article we want to talk about here. Now, this one, I'm going to say it's called Apploud. Apploud.
Apploud?
I
don't know.
It's a snow removal app.
No. It's APPLOUD. So app and loud. It's has to do with music. So I'm guessing it's
Apploud.
I'm going to say Apploud.
Apploud. Yeah,
Something
let's go with
that.
Apploud.
Let's go with that one. Here's what it does. The idea is, I guess, if you guys have been at concerts or live shows, there are always an uncomfortable high number of people who think they should just stick their phone in the air and record the entire thing, which I always think, come on, like, just enjoy the show, man. Are you really going to sit back and watch the whole thing on your phone at some point in the future, or expect hordes of people to come on YouTube and view your recording? But maybe it happens. I don't know. What this app does is allows fans of music who have recorded live footage of their bands or their artists that they enjoy, when they are sharing their video of that live music, as long as they tag the artist's Twitter handle, it allows all the other people who are viewing the footage to donate money to the artist, to financially support them through this app, as well as to purchase merchandise, find out about upcoming shows, more or less to connect in with what's going on with this artist and to be able to provide support. An app like this is really kind of addressing a bigger issue that's come up in the music industry in the last, say, 10 years or 15 years.
What do we do about Napster?
Well, yeah, that's right. Like, there used to be a very established kind of system for artists to be able to make income from their art, and much of that system has crumbled in the digital world. So this is another way that they can, use technology to channel more of that value towards the artists that are producing the music. It's not just kids sharing bootleg videos anymore. It can be a way for there to be support generated instead of draining potential income from sharing self-film footage. So anyway, I thought it was a neat idea. I've never gone and filmed a band when I've gone to see them, and I've very rarely gone online and watched fan recorded footage. But I like that idea of being able to get some more another potential income stream for the people who are really genuinely working hard to produce good art. What about you guys? Have you been to many concerts lately, or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm not really the kind of person who's going to record it. I'm going to enjoy it while I'm there. But
Sure.
I can see that obviously a lot of other people do that. And if there is a way of rewarding the artist for that, I think that's a great idea. Especially since record labels take so much that if you're actually playing music, you get they still get paid a bit, but it should go mostly to them, right?
Sure. And for independent artists too, right? Even if you don't have a label, this would still work. What about yourself, Andrew? Are you a big music fan, or?
I'm going to a concert end of December. I've been to a lot before. I generally like buying stuff directly from the artist,
right?
Because that does give them a bit more of the profits, et cetera, right? You don't have to go through the record label and stuff.
Sure.
A lot of the artists I listen to, I found actually ignore a lot of the record labels now and release their own stuff. For one artist did a Kickstarter kind of for their album, stuff like that. So that stuff really interests me. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not one for videotaping my concerts, but there seems to be a lot of people that do.
Yeah.
Might as well give those people a way to give back to them, and anything that goes right to the artist is great to me, I think.
Sure, absolutely. Stephen, what about you?
Yeah, I agree that it's neat to be able to connect with the artist on an individual basis as a fan, as opposed to just throwing your $20 down the, I bought the album and at the record store, and what piece will go to the artist.
Sure.
So that's really neat, I think.
Could you guys see an app like this, making some major difference in the music industry, or?
Absolutely not.
No,
I don't think it's such a long shot. It's nice, but nobody's going to really.
Yeah, it just
seems. I think it's the right idea. Seems a little too small scale.
Yeah.
Fair
But again,
enough.
I'm not one who watches those videos. Maybe it's bigger than I think. So
Yeah, I think
Sure.
the guys that are recording that, or at least for me, when I think about that, it wouldn't be to watch it or to show it. It would just be to have it. I'm a bit of a collector, right? So
Yeah.
I would have then my collection of all the concerts that I've been to, and
Right.
it's like a wedding video. Like I'm never going to watch it again, but I have
it's
it.
good to have in case you ever want to.
Right.
Well, you ever want to, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, they've raised 130,000 in seed funding so far, which is not a ton of money, but it's enough to show. I guess there are people interested in something like this. I wonder, like, even if this doesn't take off in and of itself, if this could almost be the seed of a bigger and better system that could arise with something like this. Because in theory, I guess you could have something built into, say, YouTube or I don't know.
YouTube.
Yeah,
That's the answer.
there are other people out there you can watch music videos on, but something like YouTube, yeah. Like if I watched a music video by an artist that I thought this is really cool, rather than
Just hitting like, you could hit donate $1.
yeah, I could send them $1 and be like, you know what, that was worth $1.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Maybe wrong execution right now, but definitely something down the line. They
Well,
could kind of pivot to that. So yeah.
At the very least, maybe YouTube will buy them up and incorporate that functionality, and
Yeah,
make it
because
better. I don't
based
know.
donation.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you send $1 through, YouTube can have a couple pennies of that dollar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think their business model for Apploud here is they take 10%,
10%, yeah.
of anything that's donated. So it could be another income stream for YouTube or for another system that uses something like this, right? So
10% is
Fair
huge
enough.
if it's.
Yeah.
if it's a lot of money coming through,
it's anything,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I guess that's that. Not a whole lot more to say about that. Let's talk a bit about Suncayr. Did I even mention the name Suncayr when we were talking
Absolutely.
before?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Suncayr. So I think we have the basic idea, and can I just say I love the fact that this is such an easy product to explain.
We love it too.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I know what it's like, kind of in the startup world, where you're at events or mingling at some conference or something, and everybody's asking you, so what do you do? What's your product? Tell me about it. And to be able to say it in 15 words or less,
Yeah.
which you guys are very easily able to do, is great. When you have to say it 1,000 times a day.
Yeah, I know, for sure. It saves us a lot, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about how this got started.
Yeah, who got the sunburn?
Well, I have a really nasty picture that we use in our pitch deck now, but
Oh, really?
that was a little bit after we
you don't
started.
want to see.
A picture of
Was it
you
bubbling?
being
Was it bubbling in
sunburned?
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So we actually have a kind of funny story about that. So we went, this is after we started Suncayr. We went last summer to go do some customer validation and go talk to people on the beach. Would you use our product?
Sure.
So we were using sunscreen because, we kind of care about that.
We've
but-
learned about it now a lot more.
Yeah.
You really need to be
But-
careful.
And so
Sure.
we were also testing a competitor's product. I'm not going to mention names, but I didn't reapply often enough, and I got a nasty sunburn.
Oh.
So yeah, my back was kind of peeling the next day, and we took a picture of that, and it's pretty nasty. We use it in our pitch deck.
You should have seen us too, because we're the guys going to the beach and we're saying, okay, reapply sunscreen,
Yeah.
reapply.
And then
Yeah.
I'm the one who got the sunburn.
Still, not enough, right? Not enough. So
But at least your pain had some sort of,
Yes,
you
of
could turn it
course.
into a positive
Yeah.
outcome if it's
Yeah.
the memorable part of your pitch deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
before that, it was our other co-founder who had a sunburn on his face from surfing.
Surfing.
Oh,
A
yeah.
full
right.
bodysuit doesn't put sunscreen on the face.
Yeah.
Bright red.
And that water's so reflective.
Exactly. Water, sand, everything.
Now, I feel bad because I think maybe 1% of the time that I'm out in the summer will I put on sunscreen, because most of my life I don't know what it is, my complexion or whatever has allowed me to not get sunburn very often. Occasionally, like a little bit on the nose or a little bit on the cheeks if I'm swimming or something, but I've never got that nasty, like my whole back is peeling off kind
Right.
of sunburn. Am I, in your expert opinion,
Yeah.
am I foolish for still not using sunscreen?
I am
Or-
exactly the same.
Yeah,
I am very tan skinned, do not get sunburned.
yeah.
Even worries me more sometimes because
Sure.
you don't know the sun damage your skin's getting when you're not sunburned, right? So I could go outside. I don't need to put on sunscreen, right?
Sure.
My skin gets a little darker, great. That could be really bad
Right.
down the line. So,
So
it's,
potentially I could still be getting very damaged even if I'm
Exactly.
not getting a horrendous sunburn
Exactly,
in the process.
yeah.
Okay, that's
So
good
the
to know.
sunburn is not the only indication. So I used to be the same, but now I've really picked up on the sunscreen because I've said, I need to be more careful about that, right? So
Sure. Okay.
And for Rachel and I, who are more like in
Exactly.
Green Gables,
yeah,
fair-skinned, we know immediately as soon as you're
Yeah.
past a window.
Yeah. The damage is being
that,
done.
yeah, you're hurting.
So getting back to kind of the genesis of Suncayr.
Right, yeah.
Now I know both of you are students. Maybe just let us know like where you're going to school, what's the program, and
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can actually tell you kind of how this started too.
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so we're in fourth year nanotechnology engineering at the University of Waterloo.
Okay.
So Suncayr actually started as our fourth year design project. So every engineering stream at Waterloo has to do this capstone design project. So Nano is a little bit different than other engineering in that we start in third year rather than fourth year.
Okay.
So in the end of our third year, so 3B, it's weird because of co-op, but last fall we had to do a proposal for what we wanted to do for our fourth year project. So that's where this kind of started. Who came up with the idea? I can't really say because we were just kind of in a room yelling at each other, like, classic brainstorming.
Sure.
We all did.
Sure.
We all kind of came up with the idea, and then
And when you say we all, like your team is how many? 5 right now? Okay. But did you know like the 5 of you wanted to work together on the same thing, or
Yeah,
you just kind of found yourself in a room yelling at each other one day?
So yes, okay. It wasn't just we just walked into a room. It was so we had to come. We had the team first, so we were
I
all
see.
friends. We all worked on assignments all the time together. So we a lot of different than a lot of startups. We had the team first, and then we came up with the idea.
Yep.
So yeah, that was kind of it's been an interesting thing because we all have very similar skill sets. So it's kind of we realized that we have some gaps that we're trying to fill, but
Right. Take on
Sure.
different roles, learn lots of new stuff. So
Sure.
right, yeah. So
Awesome.
that's kind of the genesis of Suncayr.
Okay. So yelling at each other in a room, you eventually
Yeah.
came up with this idea. which
Eventually
is
came up
great.
with this
Yeah.
idea, and at that point it was just a project. We're like, okay, this is gonna be an awesome project. We're gonna get great marks. We took it. We had fourth year project. You have to have a faculty advisor. So we took it to this prof that we had for one of our classes. He loved the idea. He's like, he had previously mentored. I mentioned Lumatune to you guys before, but
yeah.
he had previously mentored them, and they're a couple years higher than us in nano engineering. And so he's like, you guys should start a startup, and we're like, all right, cool, sounds good.
Wow. So the startup and the project both kind of started at the same time, pretty much? Like
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And that was how long ago now? A year?
That
and a
was
bit?
almost
12 months
exactly a
exactly,
year
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we did our proposal presentation for that project. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So a year ago is when everything started.
Yeah.
And where have things gone from there? It sounds like you've gained a lot of traction over this past year.
Yeah.
So what's happened and how did you guys make that happen?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk or you want me to keep talking?
I'll talk for a bit. So basically, some people went off on co-op. Rachel and I stuck around in Waterloo to keep working for a professor there.
Okay.
So we ended up working in the same lab for the same professor, sat beside each other, did a lot of talking about Suncayr.
Right.
Because we were bouncing ideas off each other, stuff like that, just an idea popped in our head. Oh, that's a cool idea. Great.
Yeah.
So, because we were excited about this, right? So then we were excited about this. So we went to the Velocity events. We started going to the Velocity Alpha events to get involved in that community because I'd worked at a startup before, knew a bit about it. Other people, we knew a bit about it, but not enough, right? So we ended up going to the Velocity events to figure out more, and we got in the community there, got involved in that community. That was all throughout, I think, the first 4 months from January to April. Basically, we were getting involved in that community and really learning the ropes, figuring out all the stuff we needed to do. Started
Okay.
ramping up in the technology. We joined Velocity Science.
Now Velocity Alpha and Velocity Science, as you mentioned, are all kind of on-campus groups?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Velocity Alpha is workshop sessions every week
Okay.
where you go kind of start with an idea brainstorming session. How do you build a business? How do you structure a business? How do you find customers, validate those customers, stuff like that.
Sure.
So that was really useful for getting all this growth stuff, all this early information. And then really, once we had that base knowledge, Derek and I, so our other co-founder, Derek, he came back from California from co-op, and we actually did an enterprise co-op term. So Rachel worked at a full-time job, Nicoya Life Sciences, another startup. Derek and I did the enterprise co-op term for 4 months where we worked full-time on Suncayr.
Wow.
So really scaling up, that was more of the technology side of things. So before we were kind of getting the business connections, networking, then we started bringing up the technology side of things. So that was great. So
So do you have
Okay.
somebody what technology are you doing? You're writing code? Are you mixing beakers? Are you
mixing beakers? Yeah, I don't think, other than our website, we haven't written a line of code. And our website was kind of very not well done, but we're working on it.
It looks good. It works and it looks good.
It looks fun, but it's very hacked.
It's the first iteration. Is all.
So basically, for that first 4 months from January to April, when we were ramping up the business side of things, we were also researching, figuring out the best way to go forward with the technology.
Sure.
Because we needed to order all these things. So that's where Velocity Science comes in. We got into the Velocity Science program. That gives you a lab space on campus.
Yeah.
So you don't have to beg from professors to get that lab space, which is a huge component, actually.
Yeah.
So we had that lab space now, and then we were able to order our materials after our research, and then really in the summer when we were full-time, we were able to sit down and actually do the experiments that do take a long time to do.
Right.
So now we had the time to do it, the resources to do it, and really it just went up from there. So
Now you mentioned resources. Is there funding as part of these, Velocity Science or the different programs, or you guys were pitching at places, or how did that work?
Yeah, so we started off with beginning and middle of the term.
Right.
So we were fortunate enough to win the first pitch competition. So that gave us a bit of funding there.
Okay.
With Velocity Science, it is lab space that we get absolutely free, and then they do provide some resources as needed. So we did get a lot of early prototype stuff through them as well.
I'm just thinking you have to get materials and things.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Right?
So that's really why Velocity Science started, is that as a science company, or even for us, we're a materials company rather than a life sciences company. So our costs are minimal compared to if you're doing, we know some guys doing an allergy testing device.
Right.
They have to buy so much expensive stuff.
Right.
So our costs are minimal compared to that, but our costs are much higher compared to a lot of the guys here who are working on more hardware.
can't just sit there and
Right.
code and stuff
So
like that.
that's
Yeah.
kind of why
We need more sodium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need
Oh
all these
my.
chemicals. So that's why Velocity Science really started, is that there is a need for the resources, and even just lab space is really hard to just get started as a company with not a lot of money, right?
So you
Sure.
can walk next door to the other startup and borrow a cup of sugar. Sort of
Yeah, yeah.
One way to look at it, yeah, for sure.
Nano sugar.
Yeah.
Professors down the hall, very helpful. They just have, like you said, the beakers that
Yep.
you need to do these experiments, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Sure. Wow, that's awesome.
Really neat.
Okay, so you had some lab space, you had some resources. Or I don't know if you're there yet, maybe not, but when do you kind of get the first prototype developed, or when do you start kind of testing to see, do we have a product, not just an idea?
So it's an iterative process, actually. So
Sure.
in the beginning of our enterprise co-op term, very close to the beginning, we got the first proof of concept down, basically, so you can take it outside, changes color in UV, take it back inside, changes back and forth, etc.
Okay.
So then we started going further on that. How do we mix it with different ingredients that we can put into an ink that can be distributed on the skin?
Right.
How do we make it stick to the skin all day? How do we make it change color to better different colors, et cetera, like that? So that's really where we're at right now. We've got a lot of those components all down in separate quantities, and it's about putting them together right now, trying to make the best product possible in the best way.
Sure. And okay, so that was my next question, is kind of where you guys are at right now.
Yeah.
So that the stage right now is trying out different versions of the prototype, trying to find the better version. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'd say so, yeah.
So yeah, we're just kind of trying to optimize how much dye
Optimization's
we're
the best
adding
word.
in, how much of our skin adhesion and stuff we're adding in. So we're really at the point of just we're mixing it together and trying to find the best formulation for when we go to market.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you test that? Are you testing it on your own skin?
Oh no. Our lab supervisor would be so mad if we did.
Okay, good.
We just test it with just paper, or just we did buy some. I don't know. We did buy some
Pig
pig
skin,
skin because that's the best way we can
Yeah.
test it.
Well, that was my next question. Is there fake skin?
Pig skin is what tattoo artists use and
yeah,
stuff like
tattoo
that. so
artists.
yeah.
Practicing
Okay.
pig
And
skin.
we just had a gentleman come in to Conley College, and he was with the Research and Ethics Board, and they were talking about they were doing a new protein bar that somebody wanted to test through the school, and the protein was not a usual protein. And in the literature, as if you're going to test this bar, they had put down that this was not a beef protein; it was an alternative protein, and it was crickets. So as they were setting this research up, they found that there is a shellfish allergy. If you had a shellfish allergy, you couldn't eat the crickets because the casings in the cricket was, I guess, close to a shellfish or whatever it was, right? So they had to, in their research, figure out that if you had a shellfish allergy, you couldn't even take part in the test, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of, what? Shellfish? But I thought we're eating a protein bar. So it was maybe affect their results. Have you found anything ethically that you've come up against that you're like, oh, geez, we kind of have to think about how we're going to do that? Or do you see anything ethically on the future that about testing it on skin or human testing or anything?
Yeah, so
Like that?
we do have to, obviously the end product is going to be on human skin, so we do have to make sure that it is safe to put on your skin.
Sure.
So that's something that we're going through right now, just doing some basic toxicity tests. In terms of ethics, I think that should hopefully cover it.
Yeah, it's just nothing's come up yet where you're like, we didn't even think about, we can't really do that.
No, it's following the correct process, basically. So you get this data, and then you can go to this step, and now you can go to this step, and following forward until and just following the correct procedure. And
So do we use cadavers at any point in this process?
I don't think we'll have to do any human testing because it is we can do skin tests on just animals for now. But we'll see what happens, what they actually expect from us to do to get it
because then you would have to
regulated.
get some government approval.
Yeah.
I think you would anyway, though.
We're talking right now with
definitely.
FDA, Health Canada, et cetera, to get all that sorted out. So
Yeah.
Okay.
and we're starting that process right now. So.
Awesome.
Wow, that sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's a nice, polite way to say that. It's going to suck.
It's spread out quite a bit, and we got to think about sales, manufacturing, marketing.
Are you going international?
Yeah.
Are you going to try to get into the U.S.?
Oh, yeah.
Not at first,
yeah.
but we're going. Sorry, U.S. first, and then international. But that's going to be a whole other ball game,
Then
I
the
guess,
world.
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the sunnier parts of the world are probably the more
Exactly.
ideal market
Exactly.
for,
Exactly.
something like this, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure I had read that you had, over the course of the last few months, done some more competitions and pitching and things like that. So, am I able to ask, how much kind of backing have you guys been able to get behind you over the course of the last year, whether through competitions or through whatever? Yeah, I'm assuming you don't have private investors.
No,
Oh no,
it's all
we
public.
don't have
I
it.
think,
Yeah,
right?
everything's just pitch competitions. I think we're sitting somewhere. We've raised about $40,000 so far that we're using towards our product development.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we're looking for, always looking for more. But
Sure. Sure. Interesting. Okay, that's great.
So have you thought
Yeah.
about the runway yet? If you've got a team of 5, how long you're going to be able to develop this product before you need to have some monetization for you or more investment? Or
yeah, we're actually looking into
in that
investment
process,
right now.
yeah, burn rates on top of your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do. The thing is that are making such a novel product. It's something that hasn't really been on the market before. So we need to get to market fast before someone tries to copy us.
Right.
So we're just
Sure.
trying to get the investment to get us there fast rather than taking our time and bootstrapping, raising money through pitch competitions. So.
Right. And
Dragon's Den or?
Oh, well
Yeah,
then.
we're thinking about it.
The problem
Yeah.
with that though is you are announcing yourself publicly, right? If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
do have Dragon's Den, so
Sure.
if the money's there to do it fast after Dragon's Den airs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
are you guys dealing with patents and stuff as well right now? or-
Yeah, you can probably
Yeah?
comment on that.
Yep. So we're filing our patents as per usual for most of these companies, I guess. Basically, we filed patents so far, and we're going to be going forward with that going forward. Yeah.
Okay, and is the university helping in that process? I know that they
There
have
are
in the
possibilities.
past,
There are possibilities. We found more help actually through Communitech.
right? Okay.
Communitech has they have a free IP law clinic actually, so I'll pump them because that's a fantastic
Miller Thompson?
opportunity.
Sure.
No, it's
was
through CG.
Okay.
And the lawyer in charge right now is Jim Hinton from Bear Skin and Par, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope that's right. Anyway,
Sounds good.
but
to
great
me.
guy Jim. So we worked with him, and now we're working with an IP law firm a little more closely, kind of. So we started off with the free IP law clinic, and now we're working
Yeah,
with the
directly
with the lawyers going forward. But it definitely
Sure.
cut down a lot of our costs, gave a lot better understanding of these steps we have to take for the patents. Because
Right.
before we really way out of our depth, and now we at least understand the language. We can write a bit of it ourselves, save costs that way. So fantastic community there.
What kind of
Sure.
time does that take? Is that a 1 year, a 6 month, a 10-year process?
We're probably going to be filing a patent every couple months, kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Writing it probably, the research itself takes a couple months. You got to write it too, so you kind of write it ongoing basis and then compile it all together, push it out, and then you compile them all together in the end because these are provisionals. Compile them all together in the end,
Yep.
and then submit it formally.
You know, that's one part of the process I'm very happy I've not had to deal with patents. Because anytime I've read through a patent, I'm like, who actually sits down and writes this
It's
stuff?
a different language,
Man,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome. And have you guys been through the whole incorporating a company process as well then?
Yeah, we did incorporate in August. So we have been through that. It's a fun process, but
was it an awkward conversation about dividing up the equity, or was it just we'll do it all evenly and off we go? Or
it was a little bit more messy than that, but we figured it out.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. That's awesome. That's always the big conversation that has to happen at some point in a startup's life if it goes somewhere.
As a co-founding team, it has to happen. You have to be okay with it. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we in my past, I'd done a startup where it was a team of students, and we didn't at the beginning have the vision to say we're going to make it a startup. So it was a pitch competition that we went through and won, but then really had trouble transitioning from friends, students project to business, money, and moving forward, right? And we weren't able to do it successfully.
Yeah.
So
it's
so kudos
tricky.
to you guys for being able to have the foresight to see that there's the need for it, and then to be able to execute it, because that's not easy to do.
Communitech's good in that process, I think, too, right?
Definitely.
have a lot of
Communitech and
people
Velocity,
Yeah,
Yeah,
they throw you
for
through the
sure.
grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving forward then, what is kind of the outlook for the next few months, or when can we expect to have something we can try out?
Yeah,
or
when's on the store shelves?
what's the timeline?
Yeah. I mean, so we're still in school, so it's a little bit slower than we want it to be. We're focusing on getting the tech done by when we graduate, and at that point we can start focusing full time on manufacturing, regulation, logistics, all that kind of fun stuff.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we're looking to have, if we can get regulation done as soon as, like, we should be able to get that done within 6 months, and then at that point we can actually start giving you guys free samples.
Awesome. I never turned down free samples. Yeah.
Then we'll go sit under the grow bro light and see if we can get it.
See how it works. But yeah, so we're looking to launch by summer 2016. So that's kind of our timeline to actually get to market.
Gotcha.
So are you going to try to manufacture these yourselves, or outsource that? Or?
The first year we might be able to manufacture it ourselves. We are looking to outsource it though, just because we know in the future we're not going to be able to scale that in our own lab. But
You don't want to be sitting in the garage stuffing markers together with...
we would be doing that 24/7. So we think we want to outsource that for sure.
Maybe find some cheap co-op labor at UW, right?
Yeah. Hey,
That's
Conestoga has co-op too.
I don't even want to put those people through that.
Well, and there's always the Kickstarter route as well, right? Have you guys considered that possibility, crowdfunding somehow?
Yeah, we're definitely thinking about it. Definitely, I think this is a product that could go pretty well on Kickstarter. We're kind of figuring out a timeline of when we would do it, because it is a very seasonal product, and we're not sure if we'll have everything ready to go for this summer.
Right.
So yeah, we're just kind of figuring that out right now.
Sure. Gotcha. And so graduation happens in 6 months?
In
5.
5. Okay.
I'm counting down.
Wow. So 5 months, and then it's full-time Suncayr until it's out in the market.
Yeah.
And beyond, I hope.
Yes, for sure.
And it's full time getting into more markets.
Retire on the beach and
Yeah, that's the
sit there
plan.
with your marker beside
Buy
you.
our
Use of
island,
the
yeah.
product. Yeah, there
Beauty.
you go. So where can people find you guys if any of our listeners want to kind of get more information or see a pitch video or something? You said you had some slides where you're sunburned.
Yeah.
Is there a place we can see those? Or?
Yeah,
Where
you
does
can.
the QR code take us?
You can check out our website. So it's suncayr.ca, so suncayr.ca.
Okay.
From there, you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, at Suncayr. Facebook, it's just Suncayr. Yeah,
Okay.
we're all over the place. So.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Fairly active on the social media. We're trying to do good at that, to keep people posted and stuff like that. So
Sure. Who does the posting for the social media?
not
That
me.
is all me.
Oh, is it?
I didn't have a Twitter account until we started this company. I don't know how to hashtag. So half the time,
she's better than me.
I just put a hashtag startup life on it, because I'm like, that relates, right?
Yeah, sure.
So that's actually why
Wow.
your point way at the beginning, when you mentioned the click to tap the Twitter thing, I said,
Yeah.
that'd be something for me, because I can't do Twitter.
Sure.
I can't use Twitter, but that could be something I could probably. Oh yeah, I have a Twitter following. Auto tweet exactly, because I cannot do it. Just hashtags make no sense to me. But
Wow, crazy. Well, we'll tweet you guys out from the podcast account at the very least.
okay,
All 30 of our followers or whatever. How much you guys? Awesome. Well, I think that might wrap things up. Is there anything you guys want to throw in before we're close things
Any
off?
wise
here, or-
words of suntanning wisdom?
Yes. Or anything
Always
you want to
Oh,
say?
yes,
Face your
actually.
feet towards the sun.
Yeah, actually,
She's
that's a
got some good
idea.
stuff.
So don't use spray sunscreen.
This is a good one. That's a good
So-
one.
Why not? My
Okay.
kids love it. I love it.
You
'Cause I
love
don't
it.
get
Easy.
slat and I don't get all.
It is
Kids
easy.
hate it, but the thing is, so you might have noticed that when you spray it on, it doesn't go on as a really good coating. It goes on in splotches.
Yeah.
So you get little micro burns all over the place. So you don't. It's not a good protection. Also, aerosols are a little bit dangerous in terms of toxicity. They haven't proven that aerosol sunscreens are bad yet, but it's kind of still in the gray zone.
Right.
So in general, I would just avoid them, especially
So-
since it doesn't provide a good protection.
So if I had a can left from last summer and I sprayed it on and then rubbed it on, that would help with the micro.
A little
That would
better,
probably
a little
help.
better,
Yeah,
but yeah.
that would probably be a good
But
idea.
their product is designed to be a micro application as opposed to a nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's
from a
not
community.
designed that way, but there's no way for them to avoid that in the way that it
Okay.
comes out of the can.
So we do get the convenience factor, and it is more of a pain to use the cream sunscreen, but the cream sunscreen is definitely
it's
better.
much better.
Right. Yeah.
What about that afterburn stuff? Like after you've been sunburned,
Like
there are
aloe
sprays
creams
and
and
stuff.
stuff?
I guess is that just to help with the discomfort?
Yeah, so actually the aloes do stop your skin from burning. They
Okay.
help to cool it down. So you can buy the creams. I honestly just bought a plant, an aloe plant, and you just break off a leaf and squirt it on.
Yeah,
Hurt it?
and it
Sorry?
works. And that works.
Scream
just
at all
as
when
well?
you do that?
A little bit, yeah.
But it provides
just
protection.
put on earmuffs before.
As well? Or no?
So
Just
it won't
ignore
actually
it.
protect
Just
you
after.
from further damage, but it will help restore the damage that has been done.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
A little
Okay.
healing process a bit, yeah.
Yeah, good to know.
There's so much to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I feel like we've got it all. We've got some good advice. We've got some great information about startup, about Suncayr, and yeah. Well, let's wrap things up here, guys. We first of all, we just want to say thanks to the Velocity Foundry and the folks here for letting us use this space, and I guess for Rachel and Andrew booking it for us here.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
to see what's going on here. We want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us for another episode of TSP Weekly. Please send us your comments, your questions, your criticisms, your feedback. Our email address is feedback@tspweekly.com, or you can just leave a comment on our website, which is tspweekly.com. So, for myself, Darren Conley, my co-host, Stephen Campbell, and from our guests, Rachel Pautler. I messed up the Rachel that time.
You're always
does that
keeping us
happen?
guessing.
Rachel Pautler and Andrew Martinko from Suncayr. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see all of you next week.